Hi everyone, John Poker Chip Friedberg here with another episode of Stacking Chips, your strategy source for the 2007 World Series of Poker, the Bellagio Cup, and the dozens of other events going on right here in lovely Las Vegas. Today is Tuesday, and I have made it to day 2 of the $1,000 rebuy no limit hold'em tournament. I'm in the tournament for I think $5,000. I did an add-on right away to start out with 4,000 in chips. I felted about 20 minutes into it, had such a weak table, so I did another double, I did another rebuy or double rebuy, I guess you call it, and ran my chips up a little bit, and then at the end of the rebuy period, I did a single add-on. You're allowed to do a double add-on, but I don't know, I just didn't feel like there was enough need for me to pay an extra 1,000 for another 2,000 in chips. I liked my chip position. I forget where I was at, but I was around even, so I had probably around 10,000 or so with the add-on. And anyway, you know, I really didn't get any cards the entire day, and I just sort of waited around. I played my usual game, played, you know, relatively tight early on. I mean, I loosened up a little bit because it was a rebuy, but I maintained sort of a tight, aggressive style. And I've never had any chips to really splash around with, so been playing pretty straightforward poker. And let's see, we ended day 1 last night around 2 o'clock, and I like my table. I do have Phil Hellmuth to my left, but he's also very short stacked. To my right is just a maniac guy with tons of chips. But I do have position on him. Now that's also why I've sort of been stalemated for a lot of this tournament, because I've been at the same the same table the entire day, and the whole day I've had this guy to my right who's been raising, like, you know, at least 5 out of every 7 pots, and basically I'm just waiting for the right opportunities to push over the top, and he folds almost every time, so I'm sort of using that to my advantage. Now that said, I don't have very many chips right now. I have about 17.5 going into day 2, and we're playing 1 in 2,000 blinds with a $300 ante, and I think there's 109 players left last time I checked, and they're paying the top 99, so we're definitely on the bubble. I'm very short stacked, but I will go on record right now. I've talked a lot about myself being the short stack ninja and having a strong short stack game. I'm going to say right now to everyone, I'm the best short stack, no limit hold'em tournament player in the world. That's a bold statement, but it's very true, and I think my results have proven it. I've been, not only can I survive a short stack, but I can pull out of it. I've gone on to win tournaments, big tournaments. In fact, going into this year, I held the record for winning the largest ever non-main event tournament in poker history with 3,000 players, and I would say for probably 80% of that I was very short stacked, like critically short stacked, but I was able to nurse it, whatever you call it, and came out to win. And anyway, that's my thought for the day. So my guest on the show today is someone I've really been looking forward to having on. He's one of the guys that I called out earlier on, I think in my first episode actually, on who I thought the most successful online players were going to be throughout the World Series this year. Well, this guy unfortunately hasn't had the best World Series, but he is the #1 ranked online player in the world, both on Pocket Fives and on Card Player. He just turned 21 in April and has already cashed for, I think, over $500,000 in live events. I'm sorry, close to more like 700,000 in live events. He came in 3rd place in the Irish Open tournament for about 600,000 US, and I'm looking forward to having him on the show. He plays under the online name Imperium. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sorel Mizzi. Sorel, thanks for coming on the show, man.
No problem.
Glad to have you here.
Thanks a lot. Glad to be here.
So, you are the #1 ranked internet player in the world.
That's true. At the time being, I am.
How long have you been ranked #1?
Well, on the Card Player ranking, I've been ranked #1 for about a month straight now. But there was an incident where the Christie C, I don't know if you're aware of what happened, but I won the 100 rebuy under a different account while my other account was hacked into, so I wasn't able to access it. So I played under Christie C and I won it, but Card Player didn't count it. So they counted it at first, but then they decided that they weren't going to count it. So after they decided they weren't going to count it, I was back to like number 8 or something. But then they counted it again, and now I'm number 1 there.
And you're also number 1 on pocket5s.com rankings, I believe?
Yep.
Awesome.
That one's been for about a month and a half or so.
Okay. So you just turned 21 in April, and you've already made your mark in of course, in online poker, but also in live poker. You had a huge score in Ireland. I think you finished 3rd in the Irish Open tournament?
Yeah, it was the Irish Open 3K buy-in tournament. It was like 708 players or so. I came 3rd, but fortunately for me, we made the deal in the chop while we were I was the chip leader. I had just won a big pot off Roland, so we decided to chop it up, and I got the best deal out of everyone, which was really nice. It was something like I got 415k euro, plus we were playing for 100k as well, so for first place.
And you also had a final table at the Aruba tournament, the Ultimate Bet Aruba Classic.
Yeah, that was actually my very first live tournament. I came 9th place there. I lost the coin flip at the end, and unfortunately got busted out there. It would have been nice to make the TV table there, but you can't win them all, right?
And this is like the perfect example of these guys that haven't even turned 21 yet that are already just destroying poker tournaments. He's 21 now. He's going to definitely have no doubt he's going to make his mark in poker. How's the World Series going for you so far?
Not as good as I would like it to be. I mean, at this point, I thought I would make at least one final table or make some sort of big score, but I've been in a position to do so, but I don't want to say like I've been running bad because I hate using that excuse, but like, I mean, I've been in a really good position to do really well in these tournaments, but it just seems like every time I go deep, I get into like an unfortunate sequence of events, and there's nothing I can do about it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I've only had 2 cashes so far, and I've probably played over 10 tournaments, so a little bit disappointed in that, but I feel good about the main event.
Well, just similar to what you were just saying, that actually happened last night, where you and I were both pretty deep in the 1K rebuy, and they stopped play at 2 a.m. I saw you there about 1:15. I didn't see you there at 1:30.
Right. Yeah, I busted out around 125 last night. A few cooler hands. I don't know, I just feel like I'm constantly getting outplayed by like older people that just don't know how to play poker. Some guy, really old guy, he shoved in from early position, like 23 big blinds with aces, and I had queens from middle position, and I don't know, I mean, it's just one of those spots where, like, what is he thinking? And I don't know, maybe he's on like some sort of 9th or 10th level thinking that I'm not sure of. But
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay, me neither. But I called with queens and he had aces, so that I lost half my stack there. And then I got moved to a different table. That table, by the way, was really sick. I had like Phil Hellmuth on my left, Colson 10 on his left, and Baseball D2 to his left. So it was a pretty sick table. And I got moved to another table, which I knew there was Peter Nordberg, I think his name is.
Yeah, Feldman.
Feldman, sorry. And there was also I'm So Lucky, Jordan Morgan. Mm-hmm. And they were both to my left as well. But I was only there for about 10 minutes. The button who was raising every single time it was unopened, which was like the 3rd time in about 10-15 minutes, raised it, and then the small blind went all in for about 16k. The blinds were about 816 at the time, and I reshoved, knowing that he knew that guy who originally raised was very aggressive on our blinds because we were both short stack. So I felt that ace queen was an easy overpush there, and again I was wrong. The other guy had ace king, but I mean, I'm not going to get too hard on myself there. Like, I'm pretty sure his range there is a lot wider than ace king. So
yeah, those definitely sound like cooler hands, and it's so frustrating, like what you said with your pocket queens, when some older guy, or I mean younger guys too, basically an inexperienced player will just look down, see 2 aces, push all in. It's definitely not 9th level thinking. It's, in my opinion, it's just, pure lack of understanding of how the game works. So he pushes in with 2 aces. You look down with 2 queens, which 95% of the time or more, that's going to be the best hand.
Right.
And you're going to have the guy crush. Because usually when they push in that spot, they have middle pair, ace jack, just weak hands that they don't really want callers.
Well, I gave it some thought. I mean, it was definitely not an insta call. Like, I was with the guy for about an hour and a half, and he was pushing huge amounts into very small pots when he had good hands, but not like that strong. There was another hand actually previous to that. One guy raised under the gun, and he shoved about 15,000, which was about 27 or so big blinds from under the gun +1, and he had aces then as well. And actually, Phil Hellmuth folded queens there, so it was almost the same situation, but not quite, because there were two raises. I think I would have folded queens in Phil Hellmuth's spot as well. But one thing that I should start doing is initiate conversations with these people. Like me, I just sometimes I do, but this time I didn't for some reason, and I'm not sure why. But I remember when Phil Hellmuth had the queens, he initiated a conversation, and he kind of like found out where he was based on how the guy was talking. And I think I'm going to try to slowly, have that become a part of my game. Just, finding out where people are, especially inexperienced players like that who give off a lot of tells. I think that's a definite edge that I can exploit.
Well, let me ask you this. Well, I mean, I think that's all part of adjusting to the live game environment, right? I mean, you've been doing well online, but of course, when you move into live poker, there's so many more reads you can get on your opponents, and certainly talking to them is one. Mm-hmm. But let me ask you this. I see a lot of players that have these hot streaks online or live, and they win, several tournaments in a row, which it's everyone knows that, when you win, you get confident. When you get confident, you play better. You're also running better, and all these factors contribute to people having these winning streaks, and of course the same with losing streaks. But your winning streak has just not stopped over like the last, as long as I can remember. I mean, at least like the last 7-8 months, you've been winning like a big tournament regularly. Seems like once a week. Maybe it's not that often, but what do you think? Like, what makes you so much better than so many other players? What is it about your style or your quality of play that just makes you stand out so high above so many other players?
You know what? Like, I never knew what it was until I came to Vegas and I saw how other players played. I think my style is very unconventional. It's just not what people normally do. It's kind of like a style where I always know where I am, and I always, the pots that I win, I'm always in control of. Like, it's hard to explain, but basically, the way I would sum up my style is basically like, if I'm not in control of the pot, I fold. And if I'm in control of the pot and I'm in control of the action, it's just, I always kind of get the feeling where I am by being aggressive, and I could put people on hands really easily online. But live is another story. Live, I've made some really bad laydowns, I've made some really bad calls. It's just, I'm not that confident. I can honestly say that I read people better online than I do live. Just because, I'm so used to the timing, I'm so used to the amount that people bet. It's just like a bunch of things going through my head online. Even though I'm playing like 8 tables at once, I still manage to like figure out where people are just by playing extremely aggressive, like in the right way. Not like ridiculously aggressive, but my style is basically controlled aggression, and like I just play a lot different than most people I've seen play.
So let me give you an example here and ask what you would do. Okay. Talking about taking control of pots and playing aggressively. Let's say you're not in the money yet, but you're in a very deep stack tournament, like a WPT event with 20K starting chips, 25-50 blinds to start, and just for example, you have, say, the 9 jack of diamonds. Maybe there was a couple limpers, maybe there was that's sort of irrelevant. So you have the 9 jack of diamonds. The flop comes queen of diamonds, 10 of diamonds, and like a black 4 or something. And let's say you have, it's early in the tournament, you still have about 20,000 in chips. Let's pretend there's about 1,000 in the pot, and somebody makes a pot-sized bet at you for 1,000, and you're sitting on the button. Everyone else folds.
Okay,
so you have an open and a straight flush.
So there's 1,000 in the pot, but how many people were in the pot to begin with?
Let's say there were 5 limpers for 200 each, give or take. But one guy bets out 1,000, which is a pot-sized bet from early position. and it's folded to you on the button.
It's folded to me. Okay. So he was first act. He bet 1,000 into 1,000. I have an open-ended straight flush draw. How old is the guy?
He's 32.
He's 32. What's he wearing?
He's wearing a. No, I don't know. I mean, let's say it's a player that you don't know who he is. You don't have much of a read on him because you haven't been in a tournament very long.
Okay, so he's a 32-year-old guy.
You don't know who. He's not a well-named pro. He's not a an online superstar. Well, that you know of anyway.
Okay, I think I make it 3,500 there. I mean, if he pushes all in, then I have another big decision to make, right? At that point in the tournament, I could even fold. Maybe I'll put him on like a higher flush draw, because if he has a higher flush draw there, then my straight flush draw doesn't look that good, right? And a lot of these guys will get it in with a flush draw. So, I mean, he either has 2-pair or a higher flush draw, or like trips or something, and I really don't think he's doing that with, I mean, under normal circumstances, I don't think he's doing that with a straight draw or anything like that. I mean, if he goes all in there, then it's kind of a gamble to call, and I don't think I would gamble in that spot, even with that.
So what do you think about just calling the 1,000 on the button? Do you ever just call there?
No, I don't. Because what if a diamond comes, right? If a diamond comes, the guy could easily have a bigger flush, right? So I want to know where I am right away instead of finding out where I am on the turn, or not knowing. Because if I just call the flop, and he bets the turn, and the diamond comes, which I think is my gin card, it may not be, right? He could have a higher flush, unless I hit the straight flush, obviously, which would be nice, and I would probably do that because that's how I run. But like, I just don't think. I think like finding out where you are right away and just taking control of the pot is the best strategy in that situation.
Okay. I certainly agree, and it's interesting to hear your thought process on that. So we got the main event coming up in a few days, and well, first of all, how many players do you think they're going to get?
I don't know. Justin was telling me yesterday that only 1,100 people were registered so far.
Really?
Which is kind of surprising, but I guess everyone's just going to register late. I haven't registered yet, so I don't know. My guess is about 4,000, 5,000 people.
And what's your strategy to go in and win this thing?
Just play big pots against bad players, and basically play pretty straightforward at the beginning. I always find in these big live tournaments, I really don't do well when I play really aggressive at the beginning. That's something I do online right now because I'm comfortable with it. Play really aggressive at the beginning and just all throughout. But when I do it live, I just spew so many chips, and I remember every single tournament that I've done well in, I've always just played pretty straightforward at the beginning, and I've played aggressive during the middle and end stages. And I think I'm just going to play really standard at the beginning, not get involved in too many pots unless I have it. And then slowly as the day progresses and the blinds get bigger, that's when I'm going to start being more aggressive and pick up big pots or small pots.
All right, well, I'm going to be announcing in the next day or two my top 5 picks of winning the main event, and you're one of them. So best of luck to you.
Thanks a lot,
and thanks again for coming on the show. It was great to have you here.
Appreciate it.
All right, everyone, that's it for today's episode of Stacking Chips. Make sure to tune in tomorrow and every day throughout the rest of the World Series for more strategy talk, discussion, interviews, and more right here on Card Player TV. And keep those emails coming in to stackingchips@cardplayer.com. From John Poker Trip Friedberg
and Sorel Mizzi,
we're out of here. Good luck, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.